and welcome to this eTwinning online seminar. I hope you're all fine and ready to spend some time together today. I'm very happy to introduce you our speakers today, Natalia, Angeliki, and Justyna. And without going further, I would like to pass the floor so they can introduce themselves and give their presentation. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much, Marta. Thank you all of you welcoming here and joining us to this first online seminar of the Creative Classroom group that organizes for this new eTwinning school year. Taking into account the fact that a lot of schools are going to use several ways, several methods to teach either face-to-face or remotely, I thought it would be useful to have with us Natalia and Justyna, experts in the flipped classroom, to talk to us about flipped classroom in eTwinning, what, why, and how. Natalia Tzitzi teaches English at the 10th Heliopolis Primary School in Athens, Greece. She holds a master and she has been an eTwinner since 2005 and an eTwinning ambassador since 2015. She is also her school's international project coordinator and a member of the school's distance learning organizing team. Justyna Furmanek teaches English and Design and Technology at the 8th Primary School in Zamość, Poland. She has been an eTwinner since 2010 and she has been an eTwinning ambassador since 2017. She is also her school's international project coordinator and the coordinator of Erasmus projects. Both of them are also members of the Creative Classroom group. That is the reason that I thought they will help us clarify in our minds what the flipped classroom is. Natalia is going to share her screen and share with us her precious knowledge about all these topics. Natalia, welcome here.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here.
You open your microphone also, Natalia.
I think it's turned on, isn't it?
Okay. Because we didn't have the sound.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there's probably there is some problem with the connection, so I'll turn off my camera and I'll share my screen. We can't do both at the same time. It chews up bandwidth, and right now it's orange, so it's not green, which is not encouraging. Okay. I hope everybody can see. Angeliki, is it okay? Can you see my screen? Angeliki, I can't hear you. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah,
okay,
we can.
So everybody can hear
Marta,
me.
We can see it.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Sorry. Okay. Hi again. Thank you for being here. Before starting with the presentation, I would like to thank Marta from the Central Support Service for the technical support, and Angeliki, of course, the creative group moderator, for the invitation to this online seminar, which is organized as part of the Creative Classroom Back to School campaign. My project partner, Justyna, and I are very happy to be here this evening to share with you what we have learned and done with the flipped classroom model in eTwinning. As we plan the return to physical school this year, teachers around the world are discussing various options. In Europe, most schools are opening in September with masks and social distancing, but closures are still in the picture. It seems clear that distance learning will play a role in the lives of learners for at least the short term. Thus, it is our collective responsibility to make the experience as powerful as possible while recognizing Of course, the inherent difficulties of teaching from a distance. The flipped classroom model can serve us right in distance learning, blended learning, and physical learning. So at this online seminar we'll show you what the flipped classroom is and what it isn't, in what respect it is different from blended learning, and why teachers or eTwinners, for that matter, should use it. We'll provide guidelines, apps, and tools that make the flipped classroom an effective education model in both traditional and distance learning. Last but not least, we'll show you activities from a successful eTwinning project, Robocode, which implemented the flipped classroom model. But first things first, what is the flipped classroom model? It's a pedagogical approach which is characterized by a dynamic learning environment, an interactive learning environment, where the teacher facilitates the students as they try to apply the concepts they had studied through material the teacher has provided before class time. The students are encouraged and supported to engage creatively in the subject matter and work with the newly acquired knowledge in order to create something of their own. In this respect, the flipped classroom fits perfectly in the eTwinning framework. The flipped classroom is both a teaching model and a learning model. Let me give you a brief overview of the flipped classroom model. With a flipped classroom, the students have direct access to the knowledge, and the teacher serves as a coach, or if you would like, as a mentor. With the flipped classroom model, students have to prepare their contact moments. During contact moments, teachers are able to zoom in on the application and deeper processing of the learning material. Or in other words, put it simply, flipping the classroom is a pedagogical education model that reverses the typical elements of lecture and homework. The flipped classroom earned its name for inverting or flipping the traditional classroom model. The traditional model is how most of you were probably taught in school. Because in the traditional model, the teacher stands between the students and the knowledge. And the teacher is the authority, namely the person who holds the recognized knowledge. He or she is supposed to know everything. On the other hand, students have no knowledge or little knowledge about the subject when they come to class. In class, they get taught what they need to learn from the teacher who holds the knowledge, as we said before. And they have and they do more comprehensive work at home, and that is called homework. The process of thoughts is mostly viewed after doing a test. Whether they have studied their homework and done well in class is seen through a test. For this instructional time, for the traditional classroom, the teacher uses class time to explain a new concept, usually with a lecture, which the students may or may not zone out or fall asleep or lose concentration or even consciousness, hopefully not. Apart from the lecture, there may be an example or two that the teacher will provide, and then the teacher assigns some homework to check for students' understanding. So, but now are you ready for the flip? There is an introduction video. Agiliki will add the link in the chat box. You can watch it as I speak, or you can watch it at your own time and pace later. It's the video on the right. In the flipped classroom model, the explanation comes usually through a video, and the video is the homework part of the process, allowing students to learn 100% at their own pace. That means that exercises, activities, and projects that were once homework now become classwork, so that the teacher can circulate and give students some much needed one-on-one attention, especially to the students who are struggling. To describe the process simply, in flipped teaching, students are instructed to study a topic at home by themselves, mostly by viewing short videos. The video lecture can be seen as a key ingredient of the lesson, but it can actually be any learning material that provides sufficient self-explanation. By doing this, by using the video, the lecturing, doing it at home, classroom time can be freed up to be spent on doing exercises, solving problems through discussions, doing practical work, or working on projects. In traditional learning, lower level of learning, such as remembering and understanding, is happening in class, while students are usually left to work on activities that involve higher level of learning outside the classroom. However, in the flipped classroom model, learning is flipped. As you can see from the pyramid, it's upside down. In the flipped classroom, students can finish the lower level of cognitive work before class. And when they come to class, they can engage in higher cognitive levels of learning with the help of the teacher who is present and with the help of their peers. Before class, the students watch a video lesson. They study the learning material, which should explain both the topic and the study process sufficiently. In the online or physical class, students briefly summarize the concepts they had learned, and then they are divided into small groups or breakout rooms to discuss the topic, or to solve related problems, or to do enrichment activities. Enrichment activities are fun, interactive activities to retain information. Or in class, the students do project work or use the knowledge to respond to a challenging task. In this phase, there is collaborative learning, where students in pairs or groups discuss concepts or find solutions to problems. In this phase, in class, that is, there is peer teaching, peer instruction, through which the students teach each other by addressing misunderstandings and clarifying misconceptions. There also may be some game-based learning in which the students play a game or design a game to play. There are also maybe case-based teaching where the students develop skills in analytical thinking and reflective judgment by reading and discussing complex real-life scenarios. Teachers in case-based teaching can use case studies for the natural sciences, social sciences, and other disciplines for the students to discuss and decide on a course of action. Reflection is something that should take a regular part of classroom culture. At home and in class, there should be reflective activities to have students think about what they have learned, or think about how whatever they have learned will help them, or how this is relevant. And a reflection is an important part in implementing the flipped classroom. Students need to think about what they have learned. They need to develop metacognitive skills for the flipped classroom to be successful. Now that you know what the flipped classroom is, let's find out where it came from. While it's a little foggy as to exactly who coined the phrase, the origins of the flipped classroom can be traced back to Alison King, a California professor of education who's famous for a paper she wrote back in 1993. It was entitled From Sage on the Stage to Guide on the Side. To break it down, the sage on the stage is the teacher in the traditional model, the teacher who allegedly knew everything, while the guide on the side refers to the teacher's role in the flipped classroom, where learners are encouraged to think for themselves, pose questions, solve complex problems, and generally produce knowledge rather than reproduce it. The world of education eventually got comfortable with the shift of teachers from the stage to the side, but what really sparked the movement were the advances in technology and the internet. Now, what isn't the flipped classroom? Flipped learning is not just about videos or not just about technology. Most implementations of flipped learning use videos. However, there are also many successful implementations of flipped learning without videos. For example, the teacher can use readings, websites, blogs, or podcasts instead. Um, Flipped learning is not just passively watching videos at home. The goal is to have the content delivery, that is direct instruction, take place at home where the students can deal with it at their own pace. Then, instead of being a place where students passively consume lectures delivered by teachers, the classroom becomes an active place where students can engage in the application, they can engage in the analysis and the evaluation of the content, while they enjoy the support and guidance that their teachers can provide. In what respect is the flipped classroom model different from blended learning? Blended learning is a learning approach that combines learning in school with distance learning, including online learning. Blended learning is a flexible model that can support a project or a course of study to progress while not requiring teachers and learners to be in the same physical space at all times. On a practical level, this is useful for times when attending a school site is not possible during the pandemic, for example, or when other sites are more appropriate for the learning approach. For example, a visit at the museum. Blended learning demands a careful consideration of pedagogical approach by requiring decisions to be made about how and when to best use the different environments for independent study, collaborative inquiry, social interaction, and practical application. The flipped classroom model can be used in blended learning. Blended learning is the gateway to flipped learning. And maybe you have already noticed that conversations about blended learning always lead to flipped learning. Why should we choose to flip the classroom? First of all, because of the interaction it produces. Interaction is a key element when flipping the classroom. Students have prepared their homework and already have basic knowledge about the subject. During class time, it's possible to dive deeper into the learning material and ask questions. As a teacher, you get to know what kind of difficulties students are dealing with and where to focus on. Furthermore, the teacher can offer more challenges for students who easily cope with the learning material, with the quick ones. But there's also the other possibility. The teacher is able to offer other students, the ones that are struggling, more help when needed. But these are not the only advantages to flipping. The concept of flipped classroom was brought up by Jonathan Berkman and Aaron Sams. They were both high school chemistry teachers. They wrote a bestseller, a book called Flip Your Classroom, Reach Every Student in Every Class Every Day. There they discuss a couple of reasons why teachers should consider flipping. Flipping speaks the language of today's students. It helps busy students, struggling students, students of all abilities to excel, and it promotes differentiated learning. It allows students to pause and rewind their teacher. It allows teachers to know their students better in class. Flipping increases student-teacher interaction and student-student interaction. It changes classroom management and also the way we talk to parents while it educates parents. Flipping has quite a few advantages, but we should also make sure we're aware of the disadvantages. Technology is vital in the 21st century. However, pedagogy should always drive technology, never the other way around. In addition, flipping does not necessarily use the latest technology. And one more thing, teaching is much more than good content delivery. It needs to be something more than good content delivery. Pros and cons. At this point, it would be great to pinpoint to the pros and cons of the flipped classroom with reference to the teachers and the students. Starting with the cons for the teacher, we should mention the increase in the workload, particularly at the beginning, where we need to collect resources, create our material. It takes time and effort. The solution is to start small. We'll see that in more detail in a while. I should assure you that the cons are overwhelmed by the pros. Flipping the classroom allows the teacher to spend less class time in direct instruction. Listening to students at the start of class and in small groups helps the teacher identify and then address where the students struggle and support the less confident ones. If the teacher is not very comfortable with presenting and lecturing, he or she can flip the classroom and select videos from an abundance of educational videos available. It takes a bit of research, but teachers can eventually come up with a bank of ready-made videos to assign to their students, and that way they have more time to focus on teaching, supporting students, facilitating project work, and they can also focus on the needs of their class. According to a survey of about 500 teachers, which was conducted by the Flipped Learning Network, around 90% of teachers using the technique were happier about their jobs. I should also make clear that flipped learning does not replace teachers or make them less valuable. On the contrary, teachers matter more in flipped learning because the dynamic of the classroom is completely changed. Content delivery is no longer the focus of the class. The teacher's responsibility is no longer to be the source of that content. Instead, teachers become facilitators of learning, guiding and mentoring their students because teachers have more time to work with their students in small groups and they can better understand their needs and abilities. As a result, the teachers can better personalize and differentiate their students' learning. Here we have the pros and cons for the students. A drawback is that not all students have access to high quality video or internet access from home. This is particularly true for students who live in rural areas that do not get high speed internet access and in low income areas where they may not have technology at home. This can be solved with flash sticks, where the teacher saves the material and lends it to the student or the school, and lends the flash stick to the student to use. Or there are some cases in which the school lends tablets to students, or arrangements can be made with the management so that students could use school laptops after classes at school. Another drawback is that some students are more visual learners and they struggle with paying attention to the voiceover lessons. To help such students, we usually encourage them to ask for clarifications in class or invite them to do graphic organizers to organize their learning or use color worksheets. On the other hand, there are many advantages for the students. They learn at their own pace. They can watch the videos numerous times. They have more time to review notes. The students enter the classroom prepared to contribute. They have more time in class with the teacher. Doing homework in class allows students to help each other, which benefits both the advanced and the less advanced learners. Students will need more time to discuss the material with a conventional format of lecturing in class and then taking notes. There wasn't a lot of time to work on problems together or to talk about material. Students even get better scores with flipped learning. Crimmins and Midkiff compared student learning in a flipped classroom in organic chemistry to historical data from traditional lectures and found out that all students in the flipped classroom scored higher on the exams and had higher probabilities of increased course grades relative to students who from previous traditional lecture courses. Flipped learning is a teaching approach whose time has come. In the past several years, the number of research articles supporting this approach has grown exponentially. Although flipped learning has been around for 20 years, recent improvements in technology, ubiquitous mobile devices, students' different expectations of where to get information, combined with the increased digital literacy of students and teachers, they all have created a turning point for flipped learning. Let's see how what we need to consider in order to implement the flipped classroom model in our teaching situation. We'll take a look at the basics, the 4 pillars of the flipped classroom. We'll go through the whole process of implementation step by step, and then we'll check out a number of tools, apps, and platforms that have been used in the flipped classroom successfully. The 4 pillars of flip. What it takes for the implementation of the flipped classroom model is here. There are 4 pillars, or in other words, there are 4 ingredients. F stands for flexible environment. Flipped learning is, first of all, flexible. It allows for a variety of learning modes. Educators often physically rearrange their learning spaces to accommodate a lesson or unit, or to support either group work or independent study. Educators who flip their classes are flexible in their expectations of student timelines for learning and also in their assessments of student learning. L stands for learning culture. In the traditional teacher-centered model, the teacher is the primary source of information. By contrast, the flipped learning model deliberately shifts instruction to a learner-centered approach, where in-class time is dedicated to exploring topics in greater depth and creating rich learning opportunities. As a result, students are actively involved in knowledge construction as they participate in their learning and they evaluate their learning in a manner that is meaningful to them. It is personally meaningful. I stands for intentional content, that is material with a learning purpose. Flipped learning teachers continually think about how they can use the flipped learning model to help students develop conceptual understand different concepts. They determine what they need to teach and what materials students should explore on their own. Educators use intentional content to maximize classroom time in order to adapt methods of student-centered active learning strategies, which of course depend on the grade level, the age of the students, the subject matter. However, we should make clear that if the flipped classroom is truly to become innovative, then it must be paired with transparent, with a transparent reason why to know that content. That is, the learner should be fully aware why he or she should watch the video and what he or she should learn to do with it. P stands for professional educator. The role of a professional educator is even more important and often more demanding in a flipped classroom rather than in the traditional classroom. During class time, teachers continually observe their students, providing them with feedback relevant in the moment and assessing their work. Professional educators are reflective in their practice. They connect with each other to improve their instruction. They accept they form networks. They also accept constructive criticism and tolerate the controlled chaos that may result in their classrooms. Why professional educators take on less visibly prominent roles in a flipped classroom, they remain the essential ingredient that enables flipped learning to occur. How to implement the flipped classroom model? Start with baby steps. After all, flipping your classroom happens one lesson at a time. Don't worry about starting at the beginning of the year either. Even if you are in the middle of a unit, there is no reason why you can't flip your next lesson. Flipped learning scales easily, so it's easy to get started. You don't have to flip your entire classroom. Just start by flipping a single lesson. For example, find something your students are struggling with and flip that lesson. Then try flipping an entire unit. Take time to build your comfort level. That is, try to feel comfortable with this new approach and take time to build your students' comfort level. Later, when you're ready, you may decide to flip the entire course. Start with your topic. What's the next concept you were planning on teaching? You can think of it right now. Are you planning to teach a new verb tense? Are you introducing your students to the origins of basketball? Or are you introducing your students to voting rights? This is your topic, and this is where the video comes in. You'll need to choose between recording your own video or finding one online. If you like the idea of recording your own lesson, make sure you brush up on your recording skills. Don't focus on so much on making videos yourself. Anyway, flipped learning is really about the active, engaging, meaningful, and purposeful things you can do in class instead of spending your time on content delivery. It is quicker to find a video on your topic that's already been created. The options are virtually endless. It's one thing to throw a video link up on the board for students to watch at home, but it's quite another to add comprehension questions to your video and see who's watched it in real time. Next step, your students have all watched your video at home, and it's time to see what they've learned. If you're using Edpuzzle, for example, when your students come to class the following day, you'll already know who's watched it, who has got the comprehension questions right, and who needs a little less extra help. If you haven't used Edpuzzle or a similar tool and you're flying blind, try surveying students at the beginning of class to see how the process went before you dive into activities. Your class time can be used for students to work on practical application of their knowledge. You can circulate and provide feedback. You can work with students who need some individual attention, or you could match them with other students who are already ninjas in the new concept. Make sure to involve the learners and inform them what the flipped classroom model requires of them. Start by using the video you can see on the right here to inform them about the flipped classroom model, about its benefits for them and what they should do, what their obligations are. Encourage students to become self-motivated. Learners full of independence. According to Davis in Tools for Teaching, as teachers, we can help our students accomplish this independence by giving them frequent, early, positive feedback. Feedback is very important not to support students' beliefs that they can do well. We can also ensure opportunities for student success by assigning tasks that are neither too easy nor too difficult. Strive to set high but not unrealistic expectations of them in their assessments and interactions. Allow students to participate in building the syllabus or the eTwinning project, or both. You may think this is impossible with teenagers, let alone with young ones. But when you can, let students have some say in what will be covered in a class. At the beginning of the school year or before the term begins, ask your students what they want to get out of their class. Use a Google form or a worksheet for them to fill in, or simply ask them to make a list of topics of interest. Then they could present them in class to their classmates, and then you can have them vote for the topics they like best. After that, try and incorporate as many of the topics they recommend while keeping enough theory and practice to satisfy the goals of the course. During a class, ask for students' opinions regarding content. It is possible to keep about 80% of the class at a schedule and allow the other 20% to flow, and children enjoy and learn from the experience. You can do this by incorporating new topics, encouraging discussions, or assigning posts on the class blogs to your students. Of course, each student is different and each class is different. If we don't know what is working and what is not with the class, if we feel we fail to motivate our students, we should simply ask students for advice. They love talking about themselves and what they want in class. Motivate with meaningful feedback. Any classroom teacher will know the motivating power of timely and thoughtful feedback. In fact, it's even easier to deliver quality feedback online. There online, you have the advantage of more time to compose thoughtful and detailed feedback in writing, the ability to communicate privately with individual students, images and videos to support your comments and explanations. Enable students to monitor their own progress. Some students are genuinely self-starters, self-motivated, and a joy to have in class. However, everyone is different, and we must realize that not everyone has self-confidence when working on a new subject. These students may lack motivation. There are tools that can be used to help monitor the students, to help motivate them toward the course goals. Some of these tools include discussions, group projects, assignments. In online teaching, online teaching, blogs and holding virtual office hours also come in handy. Talking about tools, here we have some tools available for flipped classroom implementation. To implement the flipped classroom model effectively, we have already said that we may need to brush up on our video production skills, or we may do some research and use ready-made educational videos. Video has several benefits in a blended or online course. Videos put students in control of the pace they consume and process information. They can pause, rewind, or rewatch video content. Videos also become a resource for both students and parents as they work remotely. When teachers use video to transfer information online, it is strongly suggested that the video content is blended into a complete learning experience with pre- and post-watching activities to prepare for and give feedback after the flip and engage video activity. Before students watch your videos, teachers can generate interest in the topic and create some context for the video content with a pre-video activity. This activity can take place in the classroom or online. Teachers can present students with an unfamiliar problem or prompt to pick their interest, ask them to generate questions about a topic, or assess their prior knowledge. For the pre-video activity, students could use Flipgrid to record a response to a question, explain what they know about a topic, describe how they would solve the unfamiliar problem. They could use Padlet to brainstorm questions or wonderings, make predictions about a topic, post a picture of a problem they solved offline. They could use Seesaw to record a video responding to a question or describing what they know about a topic. Post a photo of a picture they drew about a topic or a problem they tried to solve. Or use Google Classroom question with this one. With Google Classroom question, the teacher asks students to engage in a text-based discussion where they share what they know about a topic, brainstorm questions, or make predictions. Now, the actual video activity, as students watch a video, we can engage them around that video content so they think more deeply about the information presented. Pairing the video with an engagement activity can also provide teachers with a strategy for checking to ensure that students actually watch the video. For the video activity, there are two tools which are very popular with a flipped classroom approach. I'm talking about Edpuzzle and PlayPosit. Edpuzzle, when you flip the classroom with Edpuzzle, you see that it's an easy and effective way to deliver videos in the classroom or outside the classroom. With Edpuzzle, you can make the video come to life by adding audio notes and multiple choice and short answer questions. Edpuzzle makes it easy to add comments to videos, and the questions make the video more interactive. Students can download the app and receive video assignments directly with questions, so they can check their understanding through the video itself. You could also use PlayPosit to create and share interactive video lessons. You could pair videos with a range of question types, including fill in the blank, check all, poll, discussion, post video activity. After students have seen the video, the post video activity should encourage them to apply what they have learned. This activity can act as a formative assessment strategy to gauge what students learned by watching the video and what gaps or misconceptions still exist and need to be addressed. You can use Google Forms, Kahoot, Socrative, or quizzes to create a quick quiz review activity or exit ticket to gather formative assessment data. You can use a digital document to present a writing prompt asking students to respond to a question or questions related to the video content. You could use Google Drawing or Canva to ask students to create a concept map or sketch notes to visually display key concepts from the video and the relationship of these key concepts to one another. You could use the Google Suite to group students in a shared virtual space. For example, Google Slides or Google Docs, and present them with a collaborative challenge that requires them to apply what they have learned. Here you can see educational flipped classroom tools and apps that really combine forces to deliver a good flipped learning lesson. It's not just video apps that we'll show you here. They're apps that allow you to combine several resources such as video with text or images, links, and evaluation tools. Book widgets allows you to make interactive lessons. It provides strong digital templates of all kinds of interactive exercises, crossword riddles, jigsaw puzzles, web quests, quizzes, timelines. You just have to add your own content. Book widgets also does the grading for you. You can also put the exercise together in a web quest. Book widgets integrates amazingly with learning management systems like Google Classroom, Canvas, Moodle, Schoology, and Apple Schoolwork. Symbaloo helps you organize your web or your classroom resources in one place. These resources are stored on a dashboard in the form of buttons. The dashboard can be set as your home page, so you can find all the resources you need immediately. BrainPop creates animated resources that engage students. It's great, but it isn't free. All the other apps that I have mentioned and I will be mentioning are free in their basic version. With Explain Everything, you can really explain everything. It's an educational app that enables you to make your own interactive tutorials and presentations. It's actually an interactive screencasting whiteboard. This means that you can make a presentation and record everything you are drawing and saying. Duolingo, if you're a language teacher, this app is great. Duolingo is made for teaching foreign languages. It focuses on words and their translation, and it's very intuitive. In flipped learning, students can go through some lessons at home and then talk about it in the classroom. TED is TED's Youth and Education Initiative. It is a growing library of original animated videos and provides an international platform for teachers to create their own interactive lessons. All the videos made by TED and other teachers are mostly short videos that don't last longer than 5 minutes. And by the way, videos in the flipped classroom should be short, 5 minutes tops. ClariSketch is an app that enables you to create animated sketches. You can combine speech, drawing, and photos to clarify your intentions or instructions. You can download it on your iPhone or tablet to create flipped classroom videos. Test Teach with Blend Space is my favorite. It makes it easy to plan, build, and deliver a lesson by integrating content from YouTube, test resources, your own files, and other digital media you can Google search for. You simply drag and drop the material on the Test Teach dashboard. With ClassFlow, teachers can deliver interactive lessons. ClassFlow provides the collaborative use of classroom devices, digital curricula, and assessments for learning. Students can access the lessons from home and start learning. With Nearpod, you can create interactive presentations, add slide by slide, or choose a special Sway template you can adjust. All those slides make an amazing interactive presentation, especially if you add activities like quizzes, open-ended questions, polls. You can also use Kidem to differentiate learning, Hippo Video to record a digital whiteboard explainer. interview through webcam, or just screen record an entire web browser screen and include audio. You can use Loom to capture your screen or your front-facing camera and narrate it all at once, then instantly share it with your students with a link. Show Me, you can use it to create video lessons on whiteboards where you literally show your students what they should do. You can use this tool to write, draw, talk, and record your voice. Students can be trained to use Flipgrid, Seesaw, Screencastify in order to respond to the flipped classroom tasks. You can use the poster on the right to guide students by showing what a video response takes in order to be good and comprehensible. The advice is provided here by 7th graders, and more info can be found if you click on the image. To assess students' learning, you can use Edpuzzle, Kahoot. Pear Deck for Google Slides is the #1 slides add-on. It makes it easy for educators to add interactive questions and formative assessments to their presentations. Mentimeter is interactive presentation software which can be used in assessment to create quizzes and provide real-time feedback. Pal Everywhere can be used for asynchronous formative assessment. If you prefer asynchronous and self-paced quizzes, consider turning your live activity into a survey. With surveys, you can package multiple activities into one survey that participants can fill out in their own time. WooClap can be used to create online assessments with more than the typical multiple choice questions. Go Conquer. You can use it to create online assessment using resources you have made yourself or materials shared by other educators. Then we have Quizlet to assess students with flashcards and interactive games. Quizzes to create interactive or self-paced quizzes for students. Socrative for formative assessment, create a quiz or game with multiple choice, true or false, or short answer questions. All the tools and platforms I've mentioned are free, except one, at least in their standard edition. All features are not free, unfortunately. Now that we have found out that flipped classroom, what flipped classroom is, and how it can be implemented, we are going to listen to my colleague Justyna, who is going to present an award-winning eTwinning project, RoboCode. RoboCode has made the most out of the flipped classroom model. And Justyna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia, for this interesting lesson about flipped classroom. Now I'm going to, we worked together on the project RoboCode, and I'm very happy about it. I'm going to talk about, to tell what the RoboCode is about participants, but I will focus mainly on giving examples of flipped classroom activities that were used in our project. So let's start with some idea about RoboCode. So first of all, RoboCode is a STEM project, and it was focused on engineering and computational science. Our project used the flipped classroom methodology because we wanted to improve students' knowledge and operating of Edison robot, which was a technological product. Our project also was aimed to familiarize 10-year-old pupils with robots, programming, coding applications through hands-on activities. In our project, there were 3 schools, and the age of participants ranges from 10-year-olds to 19-year-olds. vocational school students who are 19-year-old students from Greece teach primary school children from Greece and Poland. It was done through blended learning. That is to say, they prepare guided visual material like online lectures on Edison robot, its structure and programming with using Scratch. Vocational school students post the material, these lectures, these visual materials on TwinSpace together with the tasks. And these tasks are done then in class by 10-year-olds who have help from project teachers. As I said before, the age of participants was from 10 to 19. So it was the idea was to learn from older students and get knowledge, and then apply this knowledge and do the tasks done by them. So 3 schools participated in the project. It was first vocational school of Drapetsona from Greece, 10th Heliopolis primary school from Greece, Natalia's school, and my school is the primary school number 8 in Zamość, Poland. We mainly focused in the project on developing foreign language skills. We wanted to develop students' computer skills, and we wanted to raise or develop students' ability to use technological tools. And it was very important for the teachers to develop an interest in science, technology, and engineering, and of course to arouse students' curiosity. Now I'm going to talk about some examples of flipped classroom methodology in our project in RoboCode. So these are the process was we had a lot of activities, very encouraging, and but I will mainly talk about the flipped classroom activities. So one of the activities that used this model, this flipped classroom model, was offline coding activities. It was between primary schools from Greece and Poland, and the idea was to prepare tutorials by Polish pupils, such as videos, images, and links to some offline coding activities. These activities, for example, I will give some names: quizzes, Mire coding, flyout, coded diagrams, the roots, and programming with Ozobots. The idea was to show some offline coding activities that have been done in Polish school for a couple of years. To show how programming works in our school. And then Polish pupils post these tutorials, these videos, how to create and how to do these offline coding activities on TwinSpace. In these tutorials, Polish students demonstrate the activities and they give instructions for the Greek partners. And then, having studied the material and instructions by Polish partners, Greek pupils work on the same activities, and all is posted The products are posted on TwinSpace so that Polish students can check and can check if the activities were done according to the instructions. The activity of flipped classroom model was first presentation of Edison robot, as I said at the beginning when I talked about what RoboCode is about. So it goes like this. Vocational school students prepare videos and they present Edison robot. For example, they show how to program Edison robot, they introduce barcodes, add scratch, and primary school students watch these videos, follow the instructions, and make programs of Edison robot. The TwinSpace is used to write what they learned and how the Edison operates, how to use Edison, barcodes, and the math, and how to scan barcodes. It shows that they followed the videos very carefully, and they learned from it. And then when they learned a little bit about Edison robot, then there was time to start programming in Scratch. So vocational school students make tutorials, videos to present the environment of Scratch. They give examples by making a simple program with Scratch. Drapetsona school students give tasks to primary school students of how to create their own program in Scratch so that Edison robot moves forward, backward, or turns. Having studied the material provided by Drapetsona vocational school partners, the 5th graders of primary school analyze it, watch it, and then they program Edison. They work in pairs, they work in groups, sometimes on-site, sometimes online. They program Edison so that it moves and, for example, play Happy Birthday song. And another program, another product was how they programmed Edison, in which it follows the flashlight, it moves backwards, turns around, and when it meets an obstacle, it moves back and makes a noise. It was very, very interesting for pupils. And then another activity that used this model was called, we titled it Gears and Edison. And this is on surface it looked very complicated, but vocational school students presented in such a way that it was easy to comprehend and follow the tasks. So older students from Drapetsona school present the gears first and explain how to use them in robotic mechanism. For example, they show the meshing of different gears and then they explain the term gear ratio. After that, they give tasks and questions for primary school pupils. For example, create a program with which a gear connected to the left motor rotates clockwise for 3 seconds with speed 3. In the end, the Edison should make a beep. First, they had some problems, but the result, they were very successful at the end. It was they made mistakes, but it was quite okay. They didn't focus on mistakes, but on achieving the goal. And in this task, primary school students answered the questions on the Padlet. They do the tasks and record their movies while doing programming. Project pupils followed the vocational school partners' instructions regarding the number of teeth of a gear and how it affects rotation of or the relation between the driven gears attached to the Edison. And finally, I would like to share with you the activity that was the example was a great example of cooperation and flipped classroom model, and it was online meeting. Actually, these were two simultaneous meetings, online and on-site. And it took place in March, as far as I can remember, and as I said, cooperation and using a flipped classroom model. At first, the Drapetsona school teachers showed, they taught the Polish students how to set the Edison, and they explained how the robot moves, how the math and the barcodes can be used for programming the Edison. And then I remember one of the Greek pupils showed the procedure. He placed the Edison robot on the barcodes, for example, follow torch, sumo wrestle, clap controlled driving, bounce in borders. Polish pupils, Polish partners repeated the procedure using the Edison robot, using the math and the barcodes. In the second part of the meeting, the Greek pupils followed the instructions and advice given by the teachers from vocational school. They used Scratch on the computer and programmed the Edison robot. And then Polish partners watched the demonstrations and followed them and managed and also programmed the robot. After the meeting, there was evaluation in which students shared what they learned and remember from the meeting. I think it was all what I have prepared. Thank you for attention. I am very proud of my students. I saw how engaged and how they were happy by achieving by following the tasks. It was sometimes quite difficult, but then the satisfaction from work was even bigger. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justyna. Thank you very much, Natalia. I'm just providing to the chat box all the links that you mentioned, Justyna. One more, and I think it is the last one, so that, the attendees can watch all the videos in their own time. Of course, the presentation and the recording will be uploaded in the group's page later on, not today, but maybe tomorrow, as far as I have the recordings. And Marta from the CSS is going to upload them in the events page. And before going to the task that Natalia, I don't remember. Are you going to make the flip grid activity now or after the questions? Because I kept some notes here about the questions.
Maybe we can have some people work on the activity, and we can ask the questions, answer the questions for those that are not interested in the activity. Let me tell people what they can do. Is that okay with you, Angeliki?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you can go on with
Okay.
the activity. Okay, thank you, Natalia. Yes, yes, go on with the activity,
Okay,
please.
since this is the creative classroom group, let's leave up to the creative classroom group's reputation and be creative with what we have just learned. We are inviting you to make a short video lasting 30 seconds, no more than that. We'd like you to introduce a topic of yours to your students. Let's say that tomorrow you want to teach punctuation or equations or earthquake or something else starting with E. Whatever you want to teach tomorrow. In the flipped classroom, you need a video most of the time. To prepare what you need to say on the video, you can watch the YouTube video you can find on the slide here, and Nageliki is going to add the link to the YouTube video in the chat box. On this video, an English teacher introduces her class topic, punctuation. It's just the introduction, not the whole idea behind what punctuation is. You just watch it and you note the tone of voice and the content of the introduction, and then you create your video using Flipgrid. Copy the join code and paste it on your browser. To record a video with Flipgrid, you must sign in with a Microsoft email or a Google email. You just use the email address, not you need this a Microsoft or a Google account. While we're waiting for the participants to add their videos, we can answer the questions you have asked in the chat box, and Ageliki has kept track of. I repeat that the video that you need to make is just a simple introduction of the topic that you want to teach using Flipgrid.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing my
Yes,
screen
Natalia,
and turn on the camera.
Okay, Natalia, I can open my camera as well. I added the video, the link to the video that you suggested about punctuation in the chat box, and I also added the Flipgrid link. So let's wait for the participants to share their 30 seconds video here in the Flipgrid. You can share the Flipgrid, or do you want me to share the page of the Flipgrid? Natalia? Okay.
I've just added on to my browser and there is no response yet. We need to give people some time. Maybe we could start with the questions. Justyna, could you turn on your video too so that we can answer the questions together?
Okay, so the first question that I get here is no, Justyna, just your camera. You said something about ask students what to teach or advise students through curriculum. It was a kind of question. We should ask students what to teach. Or we should advise them through the curriculum?
Okay, I think that as eTwinners, we know that we need to, as teachers and eTwinners, we need to teach the curriculum. We need to teach what we are employed to do. But it is true that in class things go more smoothly and children are more motivated when we give them the opportunity to there's something wrong with the
yes, I'm trying to fix the screen,
room.
Natalia.
It's better when we motivate them.
Okay.
Okay. This is what we do as teachers anyway.
Okay.
So in class, it's very important that we do our job and teach the syllabus, but at the same time, students should have a saying, and they should tell us what their interests are so that we can adapt our material to what they like. And in addition, since we are eTwinners, we should give the students the stage, make them what we call protagonists, make them the leading actors in the class play.
Okay.
I don't know whether I got my message through.
Now I cannot see the chat box. Something is happening here, and I cannot see the chat box anymore. Okay, if you can fix it, because I think that we break out the room view. So one more question was, is
Yes.
the tool Go formative for flipped classroom? Natalia.
We use formative assessment in the flipped classroom. That is, the flipped classroom enables us to use formative assessment.
Okay, and one more.
And that is, we can use.
Yes, please. Yes, Natalia. Okay.
I wanted to say that, yeah, with the flipped classroom, we can use different assessment tools, as we have seen. And these assessment tools, these tools can be used either as part of checking students' comprehension or as part of assessment. If we use these tools as part of formative assessment, we can accomplish two goals. First, to check whether our students have learned the material and adapt what we are going to do next. And at the same time, we can have some sort of grading that we can use.
Okay.
So I think it's flipped classroom comes really handy.
And I have one more thing here as a note, that it is more than a question. It is a kind of statement. We could have learned about flipped classroom by actually do it, try to do it. It is a statement, but I don't know if if there is any other question here. Yes, we should give it a try.
Some people are complaining about the sound. Some people, no, yeah, some people have made notes in the chat box saying that they like the flipped classroom and they actually practice it. And I think that given the situation, the flipped classroom is a very good solution to teaching, learning, assessing. So at least we could give it a try.
Yes,
and I would like to add to what Justyna has said about the project. There is a delay.
No worries.
Angeliki, it must be something wrong with the camera, because I can see that when my camera is on, the bandwidth is limited, and it's
okay.
The sound is interrupted.
Okay, I closed my.
Do you think it's better now? Can you hear me better now?
Yes, better. Yes, it is better now. But I think, Natalia, to come to our previous conversation, that a lot of us, somehow we tried to implement the flipped classroom, not exactly the flipped classroom that you described, but some of the steps of the procedure.
It's true that the flipped classroom model, in order to implement it fully, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's not easy. because as teachers and eTwinners, I think we have a lot on our plate. But it's worth giving a try, and more importantly, you shouldn't try to be perfect right from the beginning. We should try a step, one step every time. And check it with our students, see what they like, what we like. It's very important that it complies with our preferences.
Okay. Pascalina asks if there is any age
one last
restriction.
point I would like to, yeah.
Natalia, Pascalina asks if there is any age restriction on using Flip. Can the kindergarten students use the kind of Flip classroom?
Lina, yeah. Lina, I'm very happy that you're here. In my opinion, there is no limit to any of these online pedagogies that we can use. In fact, Justyna, by presenting the eTwinning project Robocode, showed us that the teachers in that particular project were vet students. They were 19 years old, and the students were actually 10-year-olds. So in fact, when we can start with 10-year-olds, or we could even start with younger children, depending on how much time we have and at school to educate the children. That is to show them, to train them, to show them how they can use this. How they can use the video, how they can use the different apps. We shouldn't start with all the apps together. We should take one step at a time. One app for the first month we use this particular model. And then we can expand with more apps or with more videos. I think that modesty is the best solution in this case.
Okay, Cecile wrote here that she used it for the primary school on COVID days. It is a method that we can use it, Natalia, don't we?
Exactly. The idea is that we limit the lecture to 5 minutes, to a 5-minute video, and then we spend time in class, either the physical class or the online class, to do activities that will help our students develop language skills, science skills, math skills.
Okay. Natalia, as far as I can see, we don't have any other question. Let's wait for Sibel, what she has to write. Is there any recording in the Flipgrid?
Our attendees are a little shy, I think, because I can't find any responses.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the instructions were not very clear.
Okay, you can repeat one more time the instructions and let them time as an activity for the creative classroom. You can repeat the instructions.
Oh, great. That would be great. So let's pretend, yes. What I wanted to start with before giving the instructions is that you need to think of a topic that you want to teach. Of course, I told you about, I asked you to teach it about a topic that you're going to teach tomorrow, but some of you may not be at school tomorrow because some schools haven't started. There are a lot of schools around Europe that haven't started yet. So the task is to make a short video, a video that would last 30 seconds. We don't want something more than that. It's not the actual video that your students are going to watch, but just the introduction to the video your students are going to watch. We wish you to introduce your topic to your students in these 30 seconds. You want to teach, I mentioned punctuation. Ask the teacher on the YouTube video that you can watch, or you want to teach equations or simple past or anything that you want to teach. In the flipped classroom, you need a video most of the time. So here you're going to prepare the introduction to this video. You just need to say on the video, you just need to say what you're going to do. In 30 seconds, there isn't much that you want to say. Hello, children. We are going today. We're going to learn about earthquakes. I'll show you what an earthquake, what causes an earthquake, for example. That would be the introduction to your to a video, and we would like you to create this short introduction. You use Flipgrid. You copy the join code that Angeliki has pasted in the chat box, and you can paste it on your browser. You just need to sign in with a Microsoft email address or a Google email address. And then you click on record a response and you're ready. That's it.
It could be an activity as a follow-up activity after this online seminar, Natalia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angeliki, for the invitation. I would like to thank Justyna for always being the perfect colleague and the perfect project partner. And I would like to thank all the participants here for joining us today.
And I would like to thank them all for being today here to this first online seminar for the new eTwinning school year, for the opening of this Back to Group campaign of the Creative Classroom group. I would like to welcome all of you in the group, the ones that you are not already a member. I would like to thank very much Natalia and Justyna for accepting the invitation of the Creative Classroom Featured Group to present what a flipped classroom is and how we can use this method in our teaching, and of course for sharing their successful RoboCode project, which has been awarded from the Central Support Service. I would like to say to you that the recording and the presentation will be uploaded next days and groups pages, and I would like also to invite you to take part in the other activities as well. Oh, we have already the 2 videos. Yes, perfect. The one is from Julia and the other is from Dorothy. Natalia, can we hear them?
I think you can. Let me see.
Okay.
Excellent. Oh, what a great video. Very good introduction to the topic. Ah, really?
But we can visit the
from getting one place to another. Vans, buses, bikes, car, taxi, helicopter, ship, etc. We use this in transportation, and our unit will be about these vehicles. Thank you, kids.
Great. I don't know whether you were able to hear the second one.
Are you visiting London for the first time? There's so much to do.
Okay. So people can watch it on using the link that was added in the chat box.
Yes, yes, and we will be waiting for your answers for your next videos as well. And of course, I am going to invite to you to the other activities of the Creative Classroom as well. Short time we have to record a video in our own language in more or less 1 minute, saying, clarifying what is climate change, and of course subtitling the video in English. So if you follow the activities of the Creative Classroom group, you can see all of these instructions inside the classroom. So thank you. Oh, Andreas, we can watch your Flipgrid as well. Natalia, can you open it one more time?
With pleasure. I've also thanked Dorothy and Salea. I'm not sure whether I pronounced it that correctly. Here is. Okay, and this is Andreas.
Hello, children. Let's talk about metaphors. You're a peach. We've all heard the expression, and it's a good example of what we call a metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase denoting one kind of object or action is used in place of another to suggest a likeness or analogy between them. This is what we are going to talk about in the next lesson.
Perfect.
Perfect. Very good, people. You got the heck of it.
Are you visiting London for the first time?
So we can fill all
Excellent.
the
Thank you very much.
wall. We can fill in all the Flipgrid the wall with your videos as well. You inspired me, Natalia and Julia and Dorothy and Andreas to start recording my own video as well. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you all. Have a nice evening. And I would like to see you in the next Creative Classrooms activities. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.